Some roads were made for running. Others for forgetting. Route 66, Arizona. 2:37 in the morning. October wind cuts through the desert like a blade, but Jake Brennan doesn't feel it anymore. He's been riding for 11 hours straight. No stops except for gas, no company except the rumble of his engine and the ghosts he carries in his head. Jake Brennan. They call him Razor on the few occasions anyone bothers to call him anything at all. 38 years old, gray streaks threading through long dark hair that whips behind him like smoke. Face carved by time and bad decisions, a scar splits his left eyebrow. Another runs along his jawline. Knuckles scarred and swollen. Tattoos crawling up both arms. Faded ink telling stories he'd rather not remember. He's not running from anything. At least that's what he tells himself. 4 hours ago, he left a dive bar in Flagstaff with blood on his knuckles and a bouncer's tooth embedded in his boot tread. Wasn't his fight? Never is. But when some drunk trucker decided to put hands on the bartender, a woman half his size, Jake reminded him why that was a mistake. The cops would have asked questions Jake didn't feel like answering. So he did what he always does. He rode his bike, a 2004 Harley-Davidson Softail, murdered out in flat black, every inch of chrome, either removed or painted over, cuts through the darkness like a predator. No headlight auxiliary lights, no saddlebags full of camping gear. Just him, the machine, and the asphalt disappearing beneath his wheels. The highway is dead, empty in that way. Only desert roads get after midnight. Not a single pair of headlights for miles. Nothing but Joshua trees standing like silent witnesses in the moonlight, and the occasional coyote eyes reflecting red from the shoulder. Jake's body is running on autopilot. His eyes burn. His shoulders ache. The adrenaline from the bar fight has drained away, leaving only bone-deep exhaustion in its wake. He needs to stop. Just for 20 minutes, enough to smoke a cigarette, let his mind settle, maybe close his eyes without risking a crash. Up ahead, the road bends slightly to the left. Jake spots a wide dirt shoulder bordered by scattered cacti and desert scrub. No mile marker, no landmarks, just empty space. Perfect. He downshifts, the engine's growl dropping to a lower register. That signature Harley rumble, the potato, potato, potato that every rider knows in their bones. He guides the bike off the pavement, tires crunching on gravel and sand. The kickstand goes down with a metallic click. Jake swings his leg over, stands, stretches. His spine cracks in 3 places. He rolls his shoulders, winces. The bar fight wasn't entirely one-sided. The trucker got in a solid punch to Jake's ribs before things ended. He reaches into the inside pocket of his worn leather jacket. Genuine cowhide. Bought in Albuquerque 8 years ago, now cracked and weathered like old saddle leather. Pulls out a crumpled pack of Marlboro Reds. 3 cigarettes left. He lights one with a battered Zippo, the flame briefly illuminating his face, angular, hard, tired. Takes a deep drag, holds it, exhales slowly through his nose. The smoke curls up into the night air and disappears. For the first time in hours, it's quiet. Really quiet. No engine roar, no wind screaming past his helmet, just the faint whisper of desert breeze through the brush and the distant howl of coyotes somewhere in the hills. Jake leans back against his bike, one boot crossed over the other, cigarette dangling from his lips. He tips his head back and looks up at the sky. Out here, away from the light pollution of towns and cities, the stars are overwhelming. Thousands of them, millions. The Milky Way stretches across the black canvas like a highway of light. His sister Rachel used to love stargazing. She'd drag him out into their backyard when they were kids, make him lie on the grass while she pointed out constellations. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Big Dipper. Jake never learned the names. He just remembers her voice, excited and full of wonder, talking about how far away those lights were, how they might already be dead and were just seeing their ghosts. He takes another drag. Tries not to think about Rachel. Tries, fails. It's been 15 years since they found her body in that warehouse. 15 years since Jake got the phone call in his cell at County, the call that told him his little sister was gone, and there was nothing he could have done because he was locked up for assault and battery. Bar fight, different bar, same story. He couldn't protect her then. Can't bring her back now. Jake shakes his head, annoyed with himself. He didn't stop to wallow. He stopped to rest. He flicks ash onto the dirt, watches it glow briefly before dying. The desert night presses in around him, vast, indifferent, eternal. Out here, a man's problems don't matter much. Out here, there's just the earth and the sky and the machine that carries you between them. He's about to take another drag when he hears it, a scream, high-pitched, desperate, unmistakably human. It cuts through the silence like a knife through skin, sharp, sudden, terrifying in its raw panic. Jake freezes, cigarette halfway to his lips. Every muscle in his body goes taut. The scream comes again. A woman, somewhere off to his left, maybe 300 meters into the desert scrub. The direction of what looks like, he squints into the darkness, a structure. Hard to tell in the moonlight, but it looks like an old house, half hidden behind a cluster of stunted trees and cacti. Jake stares in that direction, jaw tight, mind calculating. Could be anything. Domestic dispute. Couple fighting. Hell, could be a TV. People live out in the middle of nowhere for a reason, usually because they don't want company. Not his problem. He takes a long drag from his cigarette, exhales slowly, looks away from the house, back toward the road, back toward the direction he was heading, toward nothing in particular, just away. The smart move is to get back on the bike and ride. Don't get involved. Don't ask questions. Mind your own business and stay out of other people's nightmares. Jake's spent 38 years perfecting the art of not giving a damn. Caring about people gets you hurt, gets you locked up, gets you standing in a cemetery watching them lower your sister into the ground while you wear handcuffs because they only let you out for the funeral. He spits on the ground, crushes the cigarette under his boot heel. Not his problem. He throws his leg over the bike, settles into the seat, grabs the handlebars, turns the key. The engine roars to life, loud, aggressive, ready. Jake kicks up the stand, gives the throttle a small twist. The bike inches forward onto the shoulder, headlight cutting a cone of yellow through the darkness. He pulls back onto the highway, shifts into second gear, third. The speedometer needle climbs 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. The old house disappears in his mirrors. He rides, Joss said. Eyes forward, 70 miles per hour. The white lines on the road blur into a solid stream. The desert rushes past. The wind roars. 80. Jake's mind is already moving on, calculating how far to the next town, whether there's a motel that doesn't ask questions, whether his cash will last another week before he needs to pick up work somewhere. 90. But something's wrong. He can still hear it. The scream. It's not real. He's too far away now, moving too fast. But it's in his head, echoing, repeating, high-pitched, desperate. Female. Rachel's voice overlays it. Memory mixing with present. His sister crying out for help he couldn't give. Jake's jaw clenches so hard his teeth ache. 100 meters down the road. 200. 300. His hands tighten on the grips. His chest feels like it's being crushed in a vise. God damn it. The word comes out as a growl, barely audible over the engine. Jake slams on the brakes. The Harley's tires scream against asphalt, leaving twin black streaks. The bike skids, wobbles, stops. He sits there in the middle of the empty highway, engine idling, breathing hard. His heart pounds like he's just finished a fight. He stares straight ahead into the darkness. Says nothing. Doesn't move. 10 seconds pass. 20. Then, with the kind of slow, deliberate motion that comes from a decision you know you'll regret, Jake pulls in the clutch and cranks the handlebars to the left. The U-turn is tight and aggressive. He accelerates back the way he came, the engine snarling like a caged animal suddenly released, past the spot where he stopped, slowing now, looking for the turnoff he didn't notice before, a narrow dirt path barely visible leading into the scrub toward that house. He finds it, turns. The bike bounces over ruts and rocks, headlight beam jerking up and down. As he gets closer, the house materializes from the shadows. 2 stories, old wood siding, windows dark. It looks abandoned, should look abandoned. But there's something wrong about it. Something that makes the hair on the back of Jake's neck stand up. He kills the engine 20 meters from the building. Silence crashes down like a wave. Jake sits on his bike, staring at the house. His right hand moves instinctively to the leather tool roll strapped behind his seat. He pulls out a heavy adjustable wrench, 12 inches of solid steel. Not a weapon, but it'll do. He dismounts. Stands there in the moonlight, wrench in hand. Every instinct screaming at him to turn around, but he doesn't. He walks toward the house, because maybe, just maybe this time, he won't be too late. The house watches him approach, silent, judging. Up close, it looks even worse than Jake expected. The wood siding is warped and rotting, paint peeled away decades ago by the relentless desert sun. Several windows are cracked, one completely shattered, gaping like a missing tooth. The porch sags in the middle, boards split and buckled. Everything about this place screams abandonment, screams stay away. But Jake's instincts, honed by years on the street in prisons, in places where reading a situation wrong gets you killed, are screaming something else entirely. Something's off. He circles around to the side of the house, boots crunching on dead weeds and broken glass. The wrench feels heavy and solid in his right hand, comforting. Then he sees it, the back door. While the rest of the house looks like it hasn't been touched in 20 years, the back door has a brand new padlock. Industrial grade, thick steel shackle, the kind you see on storage units and warehouses. It gleams in the moonlight, completely out of place on this rotting structure. Jake crouches down, examining the ground. Tire tracks, recent, maybe a day old, 2 at most. Deep treads, wide spacing, a truck or a van. And footprints, multiple sets, leading from where a vehicle would have parked to the back door. His jaw tightens. This isn't abandoned. Someone's using this place. Jake stands, moves to one of the side windows. The glass is intact but filthy, coated in years of dust and desert grime. He wipes it with his sleeve, peers inside. Darkness, but his eyes are adjusting. He can make out shapes. A living room, maybe. Furniture covered in sheets. Floorboards visible through gaps in what's left of a rug. Nothing moves. He tries the window. Locked. Moves to the next one. Also locked. The third window, smaller, half hidden, behind an overgrown creosote bush, has a broken latch. Jake slides the wrench into his belt, grips the window frame with both hands, and pushes up. It resists. Swollen wood jamming in the frame. He puts his shoulder into it. The window screeches open 6 inches. 12. 18. Enough. Jake hoists himself up and through, leading with his arms, pulling his body after. He drops into the house with a soft thud, landing in a crouch, immediately going still, listening. The smell hits him like a physical blow. Rot, mold. But underneath that, something worse. Urine, sweat, feces, and beneath it all the copper tang of blood. Jake's nose wrinkles. His stomach turns. He's smelled this before. In holding cells where men were kept too long in inhuman conditions. In crack houses, where people stopped being people and became something less. This is the smell of suffering. He pulls the wrench from his belt, holds it ready. His eyes sweep the room. Living room, like he thought. Old furniture, most of it broken. A coffee table on its side. Magazines from the 90s scattered across the floor, yellowed and curling. But there, against the far wall, fresh scratches in the floorboards. Drag marks. Jake moves forward silent despite his boots. Years of breaking into places taught him how to distribute his weight, where to step to minimize sound. He follows the drag marks. They lead to a doorway. Beyond it, a hallway. To his left, stairs going up to the second floor. To his right, another door, this one closed. The smell is stronger here. Jake reaches for the door handle, pauses. From somewhere below, a sound, not a scream. Softer, rhythmic, breathing, heavy, labored, and whimpering. The basement. Jake scans the hallway, finds what he's looking for. Another door, partially hidden behind a stack of cardboard boxes. He pushes them aside. They're empty, just window dressing. The door behind them is newer than the others, solid wood, and there's a heavy-duty slide bolt on the outside, currently unlocked. Jake slides the bolt free as quietly as he can. Opens the door, stairs descending into darkness. Stone steps, old and uneven, and that smell rolling up from below like a wave of decay. He takes the stairs slowly, one at a time, each step carefully placed. The wood creaks despite his caution, each sound like a gunshot in the silence. Halfway down, a light becomes visible, faint, flickering. A single bare bulb hanging from a wire in the basement ceiling. The stairs end. Jake steps onto a concrete floor. The basement is larger than he expected, maybe 30 feet by 20. Low ceiling, exposed beams overhead, support posts every few meters, old wood wrapped in shadows. And in the corner, chained to a support post, 2 women. Jake's breath catches. The first woman is in her mid-20s. Blonde hair matted and filthy, hanging in tangled clumps around her face. Her clothes, a t-shirt and jeans, are torn and stained. Her wrists are raw and bleeding where metal shackles bite into the skin. The chain runs from her wrists to a heavy eye bolt drilled into the post. She's awake, staring at Jake with eyes so wide they look like they might split. Terror and desperate hope warring across her face. The second woman is younger, maybe 19, Hispanic, dark hair, similar chains, similar condition. But she's unconscious, slumped against the post, head hanging forward. The blonde woman opens her mouth. Jake raises his hand quickly, finger to his lips. "Quiet," he whispers. His voice is rough, barely audible. "How many? How many men?" The woman's eyes dart to the stairs behind him, then back. She swallows, her throat working like it's full of sand. 3, she rasps. Her voice is destroyed, probably from screaming. 3 men, they left maybe an hour ago. They're coming back. Jake moves closer, kneels in front of her. Up close he can see bruises, old ones yellowing at the edges, fresh ones purple and angry. A cut above her eyebrow that's trying to scab over. "What's your name?" he asks. "Emma." A tear rolls down her cheek. "Emma Garcia. This is Lena. She's sick. Fever. She needs a hospital." Jake examines the chains. Professional restraints. Not handcuffs, not rope. These are the kind of shackles used for transporting prisoners. Each wrist locked separately, connected by 2 feet of chain to the bolt in the post. His eyes scan the basement, looking for keys, for tools, for anything. That's when he sees the wall. On the far side of the basement, mostly hidden in shadow, there's a workbench. And above it, mounted on pegboard. Jake stands, walks over. His blood turns to ice. Polaroid photographs. Dozens of them. Pinned to the pegboard in neat rows. Women. All young. All terrified. All chained in this same basement or places like it. Different faces. Different dates written in marker on the white borders. Going back 3 years, 4, and beside the photographs, personal items, jewelry, driver's licenses, credit cards, all arranged like trophies. 8 different names. 8 different women. "Jesus Christ," Jake breathes. Emma's voice comes from behind him, hollow and dead. They don't keep us long, maybe a week. Then they take us somewhere else. Load us in a van. The girls who leave, her voice breaks. They never come back. Jake turns back to her. Where do they take you? She shakes her head. I don't know. They never say. But I heard them talking once. Something about the border, about buyers, trafficking. The word sits in Jake's mind like a stone. This isn't some lone psychopath. This is organized, professional, a pipeline moving human beings like cargo. He moves back to Emma, drops to one knee. The men, what do they look like? The leader, she swallows again. Big guy, 40s, military tattoos on his arms. The others call him Crowley. He's the one who, she can't finish. The other two? Brothers. Travis and Dean. Travis is thin, twitchy, always has a gun. Dean's the big one. Doesn't talk much, just does what Crowley says. Jake nods slowly. His mind is already calculating. 3 men, at least one armed, coming back within the hour, maybe less. He pulls at the chains. Solid. The bolt in the post doesn't budge. He'd need tools, a hacksaw or bolt cutters. 20 minutes minimum to cut through this. Is there anyone else? He asks. Anyone else in the house? Emma's eyes fill with fresh tears. Upstairs, there's a girl, Jessica. She's only 14. She tried to run 2 days ago. Crowley locked her in one of the bedrooms. As punishment, we can hear her crying sometimes. Jake's jaw clenches so hard his teeth grind. 14 years old. Rachel was 22. Okay, he says quietly. Okay, listen to me, Emma. I'm going to get you out. All 3 of you. But I need tools. I need to find something to cut these chains. He stands, looks around the basement. There has to be something. That's when he spots it. In the corner, half covered by a tarp, a metal toolbox. Jake strides over, yanks the tarp aside, opens the box, screwdrivers, pliers, a hammer, and there, in the bottom tray, a small hacksaw. Not ideal, but it'll work. He grabs the hacksaw, returns to Emma. This is going to take a few minutes, and it's going to be loud, but I need you to stay quiet. Can you do that? She nods frantically. Jake positions the saw blade against the chain link closest to her wrist. Starts cutting. The teeth bite into the metal with a harsh, rhythmic scraping that echoes through the basement. He works fast, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air, his shoulders burning, the blade heating up from friction. 2 minutes. 3. The chain link separates. Emma's hands are free. She immediately reaches for Lena, shaking her. Lena, wake up. The younger woman stirs, moans, but doesn't wake. Jake moves to her chains, starts sawing. Faster now. His arms screaming in protest. 4 minutes. 5. The second chain breaks. Emma catches Lena as she slumps forward, cradling her. She's burning up. We need to get her out of here. Not yet, Jake says. He's already moving toward the stairs. The girl upstairs. Where is she? 2nd floor? Room at the end of the hall. The door has a padlock on the outside. Jake takes the stairs 2 at a time. Hacksaw in one hand, wrench in the other. Reaches the main floor. Crosses to the staircase leading up. The 2nd floor is darker than the first. No windows? Just a narrow hallway with 3 doors. The one at the end has a shiny new padlock. Just like the back door, Jake doesn't bother with the saw. He raises the wrench and smashes it into the lock. Once, twice, the wood frame splinters. 3rd hit, and the whole assembly tears free. He yanks the door open. Inside, curled on a bare mattress in the corner of an otherwise empty room, is a girl, thin, pale, dark hair plastered to her face with sweat. She looks up at Jake with eyes that have seen too much, expected too little. I'm not here to hurt you, Jake says, his voice softer than he knew it could be. My name's Jake. I'm getting you out. The girl, Jessica, doesn't move, just stares at him like he might be a hallucination. Can you walk? He asks. She nods slowly. Pushes herself up on shaking legs. Come on. Jake leads her downstairs. Back to the basement. Emma has managed to get Lena to her feet, though the younger woman is barely conscious, leaning heavily on Emma's shoulder. 4 people. One of them critically ill. No vehicle. No phone signal. And 3 men coming back any minute. Jake does the math. It doesn't add up. Running isn't an option. Not with Lena in this condition. Not through the desert in the dark. They'd never make it, which leaves one choice. The choice Jake's been making his whole life. Stand and fight. Emma sees the look on his face. Recognizes it. What are you thinking? Jake turns to her. You said they're coming back? Yes. They went to get another girl. That's what they do. Every few days they bring someone new. Jake nods slowly. Then we're going to be waiting for them. What? No. We need to run. We need to... With her? Jake nods at Lena. She can barely stand. We'd get maybe half a mile before they caught us. And then they'd kill all of you for trying. Emma's face crumbles. Because she knows he's right. There's a storage room, Jake says. Back there behind the water heater. I saw it when I came down. You take the girls, you lock yourselves in there, you don't make a sound. No matter what you hear, you understand me? What are you going to do? Jake looks down at the wrench in his hand, then back up at Emma. His eyes are flat, cold. The eyes of a man who's done terrible things and will do them again. What I'm good at, he says quietly. I'm going to wait for them. Emma stares at Jake like he's lost his mind. You can't fight 3 men by yourself. They have guns. Jake doesn't answer, just guides the women toward the storage room, a cramped space behind the old water heater, barely 6 feet by 4. He helps Lena inside first. The girl is delirious now, mumbling incoherently. Emma and Jessica follow. Lock this from the inside, Jake says, handing Emma the padlock he pried off the upstairs door. Don't open it unless you hear 3 knocks. Then my voice. Nothing else. You understand? Emma grabs his wrist. Her grip surprisingly strong. What if you don't come back? Jake looks at her. Really looks at her. And for just a moment, something passes across his face. Not quite compassion. Not quite regret. Something in between. Then you wait until morning, he says quietly. You get to the road. You flag down the first car you see. You tell them everything. But that's the deal, Emma. I do this my way, or we all die together. Which is it? She releases his wrist, nods once, pulls the door closed. The lock clicks into place from the inside. Jake stands alone in the basement. Silence presses in around him like water. He can hear his own heartbeat, steady, controlled, the rhythm of a man who's been in worse situations. Maybe. He surveys the space with the cold calculation of a predator setting a trap. The basement has 1 entrance, the stairs. Anyone coming down has to descend in single file, vulnerable, exposed. That's good. The single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, he can use that. Kill it at the right moment. Turn the terrain into his advantage. The support posts, the workbench, the shadows, all potential cover. Jake moves through the space, collecting what he needs. The chains that held Emma and Lena, still warm from their skin. He coils one around his right forearm, wraps it twice, tests the weight. 6 feet of hardened steel, heavy enough to crush bone, flexible enough to use like a whip. The wrench, still in his belt. 12 inches of solid iron. From the workbench, he takes a ball-peen hammer, rusty but functional, slides it into his boot, a screwdriver with an 8-inch shaft. Goes into his jacket pocket within easy reach. Not guns. But then again, Jake's never needed guns. Prison taught him that the most dangerous weapon is the one your enemy doesn't see coming. He positions himself behind the support post nearest the stairs, far enough back to be hidden in shadow when someone descends, close enough to strike before they reach the bottom. Then he waits. The minutes stretch like hours. Jake's breathing slows. His mind empties. This is familiar territory, the calm before violence. He's been here 100 times. In prison yards, in bar parking lots, in alleys where men settle disputes with fists and broken bottles. He's not afraid. Fear is for people who have something to lose. 5 minutes pass, 10, 15. Then, sound from above, voices muffled at first, coming from outside the house, then louder, closer. The back door opening, footsteps on the floor above. Heavy boots, multiple sets. Jake's muscles coil like springs. A man's voice, deep, authoritative. Travis checked the basement. Make sure our guests are comfortable. Another voice, higher pitched, nervous energy in every syllable. Why is it always me? Dean can do it, because I said so. Now move. Footsteps cross the floor above, heading toward the basement door. Jake's right hand tightens on the chain. His left grips the wrench. The basement door opens. Light spills down the stairs from the hallway above. A silhouette appears at the top. Thin, angular. One hand on the railing, the other holding something at his side. A gun. Probably the .38 Emma mentioned. Travis starts down. 1 step, 2, 3. Emma? He calls out, his voice echoing in the confined space. You girls better not have made a mess down here. Crowley's in a bad mood already. 4 steps. 5, 6. He's halfway down now. Gun hand lowered. Attention focused on the corner where the women should be chained. Travis reaches the bottom step. What the hell? Where Jake strikes, he comes out of the shadow like a ghost. The chain whips through the air with a sound like a blade cutting wind. Wraps around Travis's gun hand once, twice. Jake yanks hard. Travis screams. The gun flies from his grip, clatters across the concrete floor into darkness. The thin man tries to turn, tries to run back up the stairs. But Jake is already on him. Wrench raised. Brought down hard on the back of Travis's knee. The joint buckles. Travis drops. His scream cuts short as Jake wraps the chain around his throat from behind. Pulls tight, not enough to kill, just enough to silence. Travis claws at the chain, his face turning purple. Jake holds him there for 5 seconds, 10, until the struggling stops. Until Travis goes limp, Jake releases him, lets the unconscious man slump to the floor, checks his pulse. Still breathing. Good. He doesn't want to kill unless he has to. Jake drags Travis's body behind the workbench, out of sight. Then retrieves the gun, checks the cylinder. 5 rounds. He empties them into his pocket, tosses the empty revolver into the corner. He won't use it. Gunfire brings questions. Questions bring police. Police bring problems for a man with warrants in 2 states. Footsteps above again. Heavier this time. Travis? The deep voice from before. Crowley. What's taking so long? No answer. Travis, you better not be messing with those girls. I told you we don't damage the merchandise. Silence. Dean, go check on your brother. A grunt, then footsteps. Slower. Deliberate. The heavy tread of a big man. Jake moves back into position. Different angle this time. Behind the support post on the opposite side. Chain ready. Wrench in his belt. But now he's also gripping the screwdriver in his left hand. Point down. Ice pick grip. The basement door is still open. Light from above. Dean appears at the top of the stairs. Massive. Easily 250 pounds. Shaved head. Thick neck. Arms like tree trunks. He starts down. Slower than Travis. More cautious. His eyes scanning the basement as much as the poor light allows. Travis? Dean's voice is surprisingly soft. Almost gentle. You down here? He reaches the bottom. Sees the empty chains. The disturbed dust where Jake cut the women free. Dean's whole body tenses. Crowley! He shouts. We got a problem. Jake moves, but Dean is faster than he looks. The big man turns just as Jake closes the distance. Catches the chain mid-swing with his forearm. The impact sounds like a bat hitting a side of beef, but Dean doesn't even flinch. He grabs the chain. Yanks. Jake stumbles forward, off balance. Dean's fist comes up like a wrecking ball. Catches Jake in the ribs. The same ribs that took a beating in the bar fight hours ago. Pain explodes through Jake's chest. Air rushes from his lungs. He staggers back. Dean charges, shoulder lowered, football tackle. Drives Jake backward into the support post. Jake's spine cracks against the wood. His vision whites out for a second. The big man pins him there, one massive hand around Jake's throat, squeezing. "Who the hell are you?" Dean growls, his face inches from Jake's. Breath hot and reeking of tobacco. Jake can't answer, can't breathe. His windpipe is closing. Black spots dance at the edges of his vision. His right hand still has the chain, useless at this range. But his left still has the screwdriver. Jake drives it upward, into the meat of Dean's shoulder. Not deep. 2 inches, but enough, Dean roars. Releases Jake's throat. Stumbles back. Grabs at the screwdriver buried in his shoulder. Rips it free with another bellow of pain. Jake gasps. Pulls air into his starving lungs. Pushes off the post. Dean's coming again. Blood streaming down his left arm. Face twisted in rage. No technique now. Just raw fury. He swings. Wild haymaker. Jake ducks. The fist passes over his head. Crashes into the post behind him. Wood splinters. Jake comes up inside Dean's guard. Wrench in hand now. Swings it like a hammer. Connects with Dean's temple. The sound is sickening. Wet. Final. Dean's eyes roll back. His knees buckle. All 250 pounds of him crash to the concrete like a felled tree. He doesn't get up. Jake stands over him, breathing hard. Blood trickling from his nose where Dean's punch split the skin. His ribs screaming. But he's still standing. He checks Dean's pulse. Faint, but there. Alive. Barely. Impressive. The voice comes from the stairs. Jake's head snaps up. Crowley stands at the top of the basement steps. Perfectly framed in the doorway. Gun in hand. Not a revolver like Travis's. A semi-automatic. Glock 19 from the profile. 9mm, 17 rounds, and it's pointed directly at Jake's chest. "You took down both my boys," Crowley says. His voice is calm, almost conversational. "That takes skill, or stupidity. Haven't decided which yet." Jake says nothing, just stands there. Chain still in his right hand, wrench in his left. Blood dripping from his nose onto the concrete. "Who are you?" Crowley asks. "Cop fed? Boyfriend of one of the girls?" "None of your business," Jake says. His voice rough, damaged from Dean's chokehold. Crowley smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "You know what I think? I think you're nobody. Just some drifter who picked the wrong night to play hero." He descends 2 steps, gun never wavering. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me where the girls are. Then I'm going to put a bullet in your head, and I'm going to find them anyway. Your choice is whether you die fast or slow." Jake's mind races, calculating angles, distances. He's 15 feet from the stairs. Crowley has the high ground. Clear line of fire. Even if Jake throws the wrench, Crowley gets off at least 3 shots before it connects. The odds are bad. Clock's ticking, Crowley says. Another step down. "Where are they?" Jake's eyes flick to the light bulb, hanging from the ceiling. Then back to Crowley. Then to the light again. "Quick!" But Crowley catches it. The man's smile widens. "You think cutting the lights will help? You think I won't just shoot blind and hope for the best? This is a basement, hero. There's nowhere to run." He's right, but Jake isn't looking for somewhere to run. He's looking for a distraction. "Last chance," to Crowley says. He's almost at the bottom now. 6 steps from the basement floor. Gun raised, finger on the trigger. Where Jake hurls the wrench, not at Crowley, at the light bulb. The heavy tool spins through the air, connects. Glass shatters. The bulb explodes in a shower of sparks and fragments. Darkness crashes down like a curtain. Crowley fires. Once, twice, 3 times. Muzzle flashes light the basement in strobing bursts. Bullets whine off concrete. One clips the edge of the workbench. Another buries itself in the wall, but Jake is already moving. Low, fast, using the support posts as cover. The chain dragging behind him like a serpent's tail. "You're dead." Crowley shouts, "Another shot!" This one closer. Jake feels the pressure wave as it passes his ear. He circles right, puts the staircase between himself and where Crowley's voice came from, his eyes adjusting to the darkness faster now. Not complete black. Faint light leaks down from the hallway above. Just enough to see shapes, shadows. Crowley's at the bottom of the stairs now. Jake can hear his breathing. Controlled. Professional. This isn't the first time the man's fought in the dark. You think you're saving them? Crowley calls out, his voice echoing strangely in the enclosed space. You think this ends with you? I'm part of a network. We move 50 girls a month through 4 states. You kill me, someone else takes over. Nothing changes. Jake doesn't answer, doesn't give away his position. He's behind the water heater now, 10 feet from Crowley's voice. Close enough, those women? Crowley continues. They're already gone. Even if you get them out tonight, what do you think happens next? They go to the cops? They testify. Then what? We have people everywhere. Lawyers, judges. Hell, we have cops on payroll. 6 months from now, those girls disappear for real. Jake coils the chain in his right hand. Measuring the weight? The distance? You're not a hero, Crowley says. You're just a speed bump. Maybe, Jake says quietly from the darkness. But I'm the speed bump that broke your face. He throws the chain. It whips through the air. The end with a heavy shackle leading, a whistling sound like a blade cutting silk. Crowley fires at the sound, but he's aiming where Jake's voice came from, not where the chain's trajectory leads. The shackle connects with Crowley's wrist, wraps around it once. Jake yanks hard. The gun goes off one more time. Wild. The bullet ricocheting harmlessly off the ceiling. Then the weapon tears from Crowley's grip, clatters into darkness. Crowley curses, rushes forward, following the chain back to its source. He's done playing at range. Now it's going to be hands, fists, close and brutal. Jake lets him come. They collide in the shadows, 2 shapes merging into one. Crowley gets in the first hit, hard cross to Jake's jaw. Jake's head snaps to the side. He tastes copper. Jake responds with an elbow to Crowley's nose, feels cartilage crunch. Warm blood sprays across his knuckles. They grapple, wrestling for dominance. Crowley has training, military combatives, clean technique, efficient strikes. But Jake has rage. He's not fighting for justice, not fighting for the law. He's fighting for Rachel, for every woman whose scream got ignored, for every victim who begged and no one came. He's fighting for Emma, for Lena, for Jessica, and he's fighting for himself, for the man he should have been 15 years ago. Jake drives his knee into Crowley's gut. Once. Twice. Crowley doubles over. Jake brings his forehead down on the bridge of Crowley's nose. Vicious headbutt. Crowley staggers back, dazed, bleeding. Jake doesn't give him time to recover. He grabs Crowley by the hair, drags him toward the support post, slams his face into the wood. Once. The impact sounds like a sack of meat hitting pavement. Crowley's legs buckle. He slides down the post, sits there, semi-conscious. Blood pouring from his nose and mouth. Jake stands over him, breathing hard, every inch of his body screaming. But he's still standing, and Crowley isn't. For a moment, just a moment, Jake considers finishing it, wrapping the chain around Crowley's throat, pulling tight, making sure this monster never hurts anyone again. His hands move. The chain rises, but he stops, because that's the line. The one Jake promised himself he'd never cross again. Not after what happened in county. Not after that prisoner who didn't get up. Jake isn't a killer. Not anymore. Not tonight. He drops the chain. Steps back. You're done, he says quietly. Then he moves to the storage room. Knocks 3 times. Emma, it's over. It's Jake. You can come out. The lock clicks. The door opens. Emma peers out, eyes wide, taking in the scene. The unconscious men, the blood. Jake standing there like a battered monument to violence. Are they... She starts. Alive, Jake says. All 3? Won't be getting up any time soon, but they're alive. Emma steps out, helps Lena. Jessica follows. The three women stare at Jake like he's something out of a nightmare or a dream. They can't quite decide which. We need to call the police, Emma says. Jake shakes his head. You need to call the police. I need to go. What? No. You saved us. You're a witness. I'm a fugitive, Jake says flatly. I got warrants. Open cases. I stick around. I go back to prison. And these three, he gestures at the unconscious men, they walk on technicalities because the chain of evidence is compromised. Emma opens her mouth, closes it. She understands? There's a cell phone in Crowley's pocket, Jake says. Call 911. Tell them everything. Show them the photos. The documents? The evidence is solid. They'll go away for a long time. He starts toward the stairs. Emma grabs his arm. At least tell me your name. Your real name? Jake looks at her. At Jessica? At Lena, leaning against the wall. Doesn't matter, he says. You're safe? That's what matters. And he walks up the stairs into the darkness above. Jake climbs the basement stairs, each step heavier than the last. His body is starting to feel everything now. The adrenaline draining away, leaving only pain in its wake. His ribs throb with every breath. His jaw aches where Crowley landed that cross. Blood still drips from his nose, leaving a dark trail on the wooden steps behind him. But he keeps moving. The main floor of the house is silent. Moonlight streams through the broken windows, painting everything in shades of silver and shadow. Dust particles hang suspended in the air like frozen rain. Jake crosses to the back door, the one with the new padlock, now hanging open, still unlocked from when Crowley and his men entered. Outside, parked behind the house, sits a white panel van, windowless, nondescript. The kind that could be anything. Plumber's truck, delivery vehicle, moving company, or a cage on wheels. Jake approaches it slowly, reaches for the back door handle, pulls. The door swings open. Inside, the cargo area has been modified. Metal rings bolted to the floor and walls, chains, restraints, a bucket in the corner, and in the front corner, curled into a ball, another girl. She can't be more than 17. Dark skin, braided hair, wearing what looks like a fast food restaurant uniform, name tag still pinned to her shirt. Keisha, she's unconscious. A dark bruise blooming on her temple where someone hit her, but her chest rises and falls. Shallow breaths. She's alive. Jesus Christ, Jake mutters. This was going to be the fourth victim. The replacement. The fresh merchandise. He climbs into the van, gently shakes her shoulder. Hey, wake up. You're safe now. Come on. Keisha's eyes flutter open, unfocused, confused. Then they lock onto Jake and terror floods in. She tries to scream, tries to scramble back, but there's nowhere to go. Easy, easy. Jake raises his hands. I'm not one of them. The men who took you, they're done. They can't hurt you anymore. She stares at him, taking in his appearance, the blood, the bruises, the leather jacket. She's trying to decide if he's telling the truth or just a different kind of monster. There are 3 other women inside, Jake says quietly. Emma, Lena, Jessica. They're calling the police right now. You're going home. Something in his voice must convince her, because she stops fighting, just sits there, shaking, silent tears streaming down her face. Jake helps her out of the van, guides her toward the house. She can barely walk, drugged probably. Whatever they used to knock her out is still in her system. They make it to the back door. Emma appears, sees Keisha. Her face crumples. There was another one, she whispers. Not anymore, Jake says. He hands Keisha over to Emma. Take care of her. Police coming? Emma nods. They said 10 minutes. Maybe less. 10 minutes. Jake looks toward the road, toward where his bike is parked, toward freedom. He should already be gone, but something stops him, something he needs to do first. He walks back into the house, down the hallway, past the stairs, into what looks like it used to be an office. There, on a desk covered in dust and papers, sits a cell phone. Crowley's, the one Emma used to call 911. And next to it, a laptop, old, worn, but powered on. Screen glowing in the darkness. Jake sits down, opens the laptop. No password. Sloppy. The desktop is cluttered with folders, documents, spreadsheets, and photos. Hundreds of photos. Jake's stomach turns as he clicks through them. This isn't just about the 4 women in this house, or the 8 whose IDs are downstairs. This is bigger. So much bigger. Spreadsheets with names, ages, physical descriptions, prices, routes, mapped out across 4 states. Pickup locations, drop-off points, contact information, phone numbers, addresses, coded names that Jake recognizes from his time inside. Criminal organizations, cartels, buyers. This laptop is a complete record of a trafficking operation that's been running for years. Jake pulls the phone toward him, opens the camera, starts photographing the screen. Every spreadsheet, every document, every contact list. Click, click, click. He works methodically, professionally, making sure every piece of evidence is captured. Then he finds a flash drive in the desk drawer, plugs it in, copies everything, all the files, all the data. When he's done, he pockets the flash drive, opens the phone's browser, navigates to a website he hasn't used in 3 years, an anonymous tip line, the kind the Fed set up for informants who don't want to get involved. He types quickly. Trafficking operation, Route 66, Arizona. 3 suspects in custody at the location. More names and contacts in the attached files. Girls are safe. Find the rest. He attaches the photos from the phone. Hits send, then he takes the laptop. Carries it downstairs to the basement. Sets it on the workbench next to the Polaroids and IDs, right where the police will find it. Impossible to miss. Evidence. Clean. Undeniable. Admissible in court. Back upstairs, Emma is sitting on the porch steps with the 4 girls. All of them wrapped in blankets Jake didn't even know were in the van. All of them alive. Traumatized, yes, but alive. In the distance, the first sounds of sirens. Faint, but getting louder. Jake steps out onto the porch. Emma looks up at him. "You're really leaving?" she asks. "Have to. They'll want to talk to you. You're the only witness to what happened." Jake shakes his head. "You're the witnesses. All 4 of you. You lived through this. You can tell them everything they need to know." "I was just passing through." "Jake." Emma stands. Walks over to him. "What you did tonight, that's not just passing through. That's, she struggles for the word. "Necessary," Jake finishes for her. "That's all it was, necessary." "No," Emma says firmly. "It was heroic." Jake almost laughs, but it comes out as more of a cough. "Painful, given his ribs." "I'm not a hero," he says. "Heroes don't have rap sheets. Heroes don't run from cops. I'm just a guy who happened to hear a scream and came back," Emma says. "You came back? That makes you a hero in my book." Jake doesn't know what to say to that, so he says nothing, just nods once. Turns toward the path that leads back to the road. "Wait," Emma calls out. He stops, doesn't turn around. "The tattoo on your arm. Rachel, who was she?" Jake stands there for a long moment. "The siren's getting closer now. Maybe 2 minutes away. My sister," he finally says. His voice rough, quiet. "She was taken 15 years ago. I was in jail. Couldn't help her. They found her 3 days later. Too late." Emma's hand goes to her mouth. "Tonight," Jake continues, "tonight I was on time. That's all that matters." He walks into the darkness. Doesn't look back. The path through the scrub is easier now. He knows the way. His bike is exactly where he left it, waiting for him like a faithful animal. Chrome and steel and the promise of distance. Jake throws his leg over the seat, starts the engine. The familiar rumble fills the night air. He takes one last look at the house. The lights from the police cars are visible now. Red and blue strobing through the trees. 3 cars. 4. More coming. Emma and the girls are safe. Crowley and his men are going to prison for a very long time. The trafficking network is exposed. Jake's work here is done. He pulls onto the highway, accelerates. The speedometer climbs. 50, 60, 70. The desert rushing past on either side. The stars overhead burning like distant promises. His body aches. His face is swelling. He probably has at least 1 cracked rib, but none of that matters, because for the first time in 15 years, Jake Brennan feels something he thought he'd lost forever. Not redemption. That's too strong a word. Too final, but maybe the beginning of it, maybe the first step on a long road back to being someone he can stand to see in the mirror. He rides through the night. No destination, no plan, just the open road and the machine beneath him and the ghosts in his head. Quieter now than they've been in years. Rachel's voice doesn't echo anymore, doesn't accuse, just whispers one word, thanks. 6 weeks later, a roadside diner, somewhere in New Mexico. One of those places that looks the same in every small town across America. Faded linoleum, red vinyl booths, coffee that tastes like it was brewed during the Cold War. Jake sits at the counter, 3rd cup in front of him, steam rising. The only customer in the place except for a trucker sleeping in the corner booth. The TV mounted in the corner is playing the news, muted, but the closed captions scroll across the bottom. Major trafficking ring dismantled. Arizona operation leads to 27 arrests across 4 states. Jake watches without expression. 4 survivors testify. Evidence includes laptop with complete records of criminal network. Images flash on the screen, mugshots, Crowley, Travis, Dean, all 3 looking at the camera with dead eyes and defeated faces. Authorities. Credit anonymous tip and physical evidence for breakthrough in case. The waitress, 60 years old. Gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, name tag reading Dorothy. Refills Jake's cup without being asked. You following that story? She asks. Nodding at the TV, Jake shrugs. Just background noise. Dorothy leans against the counter. Hell of a thing. Those poor girls. Can't imagine what they went through. But at least they got out. Someone helped them. Says it was anonymous, Jake points out. I know what it says. Dorothy gives him a look. The kind only a woman who's lived 7 decades can give. The look that says she sees more than you think. But someone did it. Someone risked their neck to save strangers. That's the definition of a hero, if you ask me. Jake picks up his coffee, takes a sip. Maybe they just did what anyone would do. Honey, Dorothy laughs, bitter and knowing. I've been working diners for 40 years. I've seen how people react when someone's in trouble. Most of them look the other way. Put their heads down. Tell themselves it's not their problem. The people who actually step up, those are rare. Rarer than gold. She moves down the counter to clear plates. Leaving Jake alone with his thoughts, he pulls out his wallet, counts out bills for the coffee, leaves a 20 on the counter, way more than the 3 cups cost. But Dorothy looks like she could use it. He stands, grabs his jacket from the stool next to him. The same leather jacket, now with fresh scars to match the old ones. Burn mark from where Crowley's bullet grazed the shoulder. Tear in the sleeve from the fight in the basement, battle damage. Jake walks to the door, pauses, looks back at the TV. The news has moved on to another story already. Something about weather or politics. The attention span of the world is short. Today's headline is tomorrow's forgotten paragraph. But Emma, Lena, Jessica, Keisha, they'll remember, and maybe that's enough.